So, hi, my name is Jordan Curl. I'm currently in Swaziland, now known as Iswahini. I was contacted by a documentary maker that I had matched with on Tinder when I was living in Poland a few months ago. And she asked me to make a video about my experience, perspective, my story, which I think a lot of people will find interesting. I'll preface this with some interesting background. I've been a cannabis grower, cultivator, patient for about just almost 10 years. Well, I've been working in cannabis since I was like maybe 13 or 14 almost. They had me strung out on Ritalin as a child. And so when I realized that cannabis helped me focus in school and have like a normal social life, I became like an advocate for cannabis. So when I was like 14, 15, I was helping medical patients get the cannabis they needed to stay off opiates, as well as I was like sending letters to my senators and governors advocating for uh, basically changing the medical laws in North Dakota. My mom still saves all the like your auto responses that your senators send you, because like the thing is, normal used to offer a template you could auto email to your senators, and so I just spammed the hell out of it because I was a 13-year-old that was strung out on Ritalin and had DSL internet connection in North Dakota. So it's interesting. I personally I'm alive today because of medical cannabis. Uh, I have like a lot of problems in my life with alcohol, and if it wasn't for medical cannabis, I wouldn't and LSD, I would not be where I'm at, and I wouldn't be alive today. And so I see cannabis kind of as my higher power in a sense. So keep in mind the context of the story that's about to be told. Um, so after I went into the Marine Corps when I was like I joined and signed up when I was 17 years old, graduated early from high school, left the Marine Corps, was in the infantry. After I was done, I got married to my brother, one of my brothers that from the Marine Corps, to his sister, and her father was a medical cannabis grower. And there's this. It's very funny actually because I told my first, I told one of my commanders like about a year before I got out of the military that it's like he was asking me like why I wasn't gonna re-enlist, and I basically told him I want to grow medical cannabis. And of course, the next day I had a drug test. But I actually messaged him a few years later in my career to let him know that I actually did what I said I did. But after that, I married in my best friend's sister, and her dad was a medical cannabis provider in the state of Washington. So I grew cannabis there for medical patients with HIV, AIDS, other medical or other veterans as well. We had a medical cooperative that was just other veterans that I grew with and operated delivery service with. We did extractions. We were kind of like the first people to do anything cannabis like related in the early years of medical cannabis in Washington before like recreational took hold. And then I was involved in a lot of business in the recreational side, which I won't get into. It doesn't matter. But the thing is, I've been nomadic for the last 3 years because of my expertise of cannabis, like across cultivation, extractions, formulations, research, you name it. I'm just a giant cannabis nerd. I currently am a freelance consultant, but I work mostly for an Israeli firm called Israel Cannabis, of all things. And the funny thing is, I'm not even Jewish. I make a point that out because a lot of people give me shit because, like, for me, cannabis is apolitical. Like, my goal is for normalization as well as legalization and like access for patients across the world. Like, Israelis, like they've had a medical system since the 90s. So, and they were the first to isolate THC and CBD. So they're a hub for research and development. And I knew going there and working for them would, or at least taking jobs from them would at least offer opportunities I wouldn't normally get. So it's took me a few different places, which I can't tell you about because of non-disclosure agreements. But I've been across the world doing different things for the Israelis with having no Jewish blood. I'm fucking Norwegian and Irish, so I know how to rape and pillage and be drunk. That's my ancestral history, if it matters to anybody. But anyways, moving forward, nomadic for the last 3 years. Finally got to Israel. Spent time in Israel learning corporate cannabis, and then eventually, just because I'm not Jewish, I couldn't stay in Israel. So I had to, basically, the company wanted me to still work for them, but I had to do it remotely. So I spent time in Poland, Ukraine. I've been to other places before, like Turkey and stuff like that. Basically, just like nomadic digital living kind of thing. And I ended up in Cape Town. I spent about 3 months traveling South Africa, and because my tourist visa was up, I jumped the border to Swaziland because I had potential work out here. A private citizen was interested in hiring my firm to advise on the regulations and legalization here in Swaziland, or Iswahini. And so I'd already visited once, and because I'm a cannabis like fanatic, I wanted to come just on my own accord. But I like planned it out so that I would have 3 months in South Africa and then come up here for a month on a visa and then fly back to Israel. Well, because of this virus bullshit, I'm currently stuck in Swaziland, and I'm actually illegal at the moment. I'm past my visa date. I had flights and everything planned out, transit visa to Cape Town, flight to Israel. I had an apartment paid for and ready to go in Tel Aviv. My landlady's the coolest old lady in the world. But about a week before this shit started happening, she told me like, oh yeah, you can't quarantine here because we share a bathroom. So I was stuck in the middle of like, I have no idea what's going on. And actually like none of the panic had really hit like here in Swaziland. It's very interesting because it's such a rural community, like, and access to the internet and data is so expensive and hard to find. Like, it's not like a lot of places like Palestine or Egypt where, or Ukraine, where data is very cheap and freely available. So people spend a lot of time like doing Instagram and other online connections. Here, communication is limited and it's expensive. It's a very weird thing being it's technically the last kingdom ship that exists. It really is like the king's, that's why it's called, like, the name is Iswahini. He changed the name just on his own accord. Sorry, my roommate just got back. But the reason why I'm here, actually, like I said, I'm a cannabis consultant. I'm supposed to be here helping with legalization. Got stuck. Luckily, I had a lot of the cannabis gods provided for me. Like, I kind of saw it as like divine intervention in a way. Like for some reason they want me to stay here, and so So this is gonna be like so humble brag, but I'm gonna say it anyways. Yeah, like I have a friend whose sister is in an orphanage, right? And so like during this like freak out, the lodge I was staying at was they closed down on me. They said I had to the end of the month to stay there, but because of like all the Peace Corps workers and NGOs evacuating out back home, they all left and had to close down early. So I only had like a day or two to find a new place. And during this mass panic, they left all this food, right? And so I spent it, like, I was just like smoking weed and just like, okay, like I should bag this all up and just give it to the orphanage. So I ended up just like arranging like the guy that gets me weed to go like drop off the groceries, right? So we did a delivery, and then yeah, cool, worked out great. They loved it. And then the next day, it's so funny because I have a firm belief that like the higher powers use the internet to connect people, and I think that happens with Tinder and like dating apps and stuff like that. Because I was sitting at a cafe, like basically with all my shit, no place to go, and the guy who gives me rides, like drove me before, was actually just right next door, and so I was able to buy like probably about $100 worth of like groceries for the orphanage and drop it all off because he just wanted to go buy like a gram of expensive, nice like heady weed cheese, like 60 rand a gram, like greenhouse grown, like pretty decent, not bad. But like, yeah, like, so yeah, that was just like, managed to make a second drop off the orphanage, so that was cool. But now he then dropped me off at my guy that gets me my cannabis. His friend has a farmhouse that he inherited, and now this is where I live at. I'm in a very rural part of Swaziland, and the thing is, and I have to be very quiet about this, because when people are banished here in the kingdom, right, what ends up happening is, according to the law, they must travel at least 9 chiefdoms away from where they from where they're banished. So this area is right between the 2 biggest cities. So a lot of people that are banished for accused witchcraft are actually relocated here. And so the area is known for like bad spirits and witchcraftery. And it's really funny because I'm starting a permaculture program here. Like, my mentor in cannabis was a doomsday prepper, and so he taught me a bunch about permaculture. So I'm doing a composting program right now, basically just like teaching my roommate how to compost everything. You wouldn't believe it. Like, there's just so much cow shit because like the king's cows can go wherever they want. Like, it's interesting. So right here is my starting compost pile. Like, it's weird because I'm isolated, but I'm not isolated. Like, like I had this farm to walk around on, and I have like a hectare to just like help like spend the next month or two helping build out and grow like regular crops. And it's weird because I've never grown anything other than cannabis my entire life, so to actually be like growing regular crops, this is gonna be interesting. And I've been asking all my friends like for advice and everything, and I'm 100% positive I can do this. So not only I think it was kind of like the higher powers like reasons for like keeping me here, just basically what I decided was if I reallocate my rent budget that I was spending at hostels for the next month or the next 3 months here, like I can just do land basically land redevelopment, like for a community of like maybe about 3 families or 3 farmsteads, which is a little bit of help, and like getting them to start composting. So not trying to do the whole white saviors or anything, but the thing is like if I'm gonna be here anyways, like me just purchasing weed is like I'm at my weed budget, which is like $100 or $125 like a month, right? Like that alone just it economically improves this area because it's so impoverished, and it's a sad thing. It's a sad reality, but you know you have to make light of it and make a joke because I mean I'm the foreigner. I'm stuck out here. All my family's back in America. It's getting hit hard by this virus, and so basically I've just been getting the panic and anxiety through the phone calls and messages with friends that are in Israel or just across the globe, and it's all the same story. It's not good anywhere, and it's so weird because my friends in Kiev or in New York City or Boston or Philadelphia or in Seattle, they all have tiny little places. Here I am just in this gorgeous area. Yeah, and I don't have no idea how long I'm gonna be stuck here for. They said it's a 20-day lockdown, but like most people aren't respecting it. And I had this really interesting experience talking with an elder yesterday that like, yeah, he was sick. I don't know how bad it is here. They said there's 3 cases, but there could be more. I might be just stuck in Africa for however long it takes, I guess. And I don't know. I really like it. It's helping with my research and my career. It's letting me network and connect and learn a lot. I'm trying to take advantage of it and grow as much as possible. I mean, the great thing about being a remote worker is I'm blessed with like the ability to still like have job options, which a lot of people don't. So make sure that anybody that sees this, like if you know service workers, give extra to those people that are out of work at the moment. Like you have no idea how much like $5 or $10 helps out anybody. But yeah, that's kind of my story and situation here in Swaziland at the moment. Yeah, I don't know when things are gonna change, but like my plans for the next 2-3 months is just get this place growing more beans and peppers and everything else, bro, and just keep smoking weed and self-quarantining and just chilling. Like I've got a giant bag of fucking weed, yo, like a massive bag of fucking weed that we can just smoke. And we get oil. There's stuff everywhere. It's like pretty much a narco state here. But please don't put this in the movie. Yo, and we're gonna come check it out. Homeboy.
Yeah.
So this is the doc for that girl.
Which one?
The one I met on Tinder.
You're still recording it.
Yeah, introduce yourself.
Oh, hello. I'm Masego. Simelan is my last name.
Where are you from?
I'm from Swaziland, the Kingdom of Eswatini, down in Africa. It's a country nestled between the Republic of South Africa and the Republic of Mozambique. We're a tiny kingdom, lovely kingdom.
How's your virus and COVID-19 experience been?
Well, it's kind of scary. We're staying indoors. Okay, well, in the community we can be able to move around. We haven't had any single case, but we've had 9 cases so far. But still, it strikes that chord of a fear in one. So we're really careful. I'm not getting into town. I just move around the community. That's all.
Cool.
But I'm petrified. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody seems to be scared at the moment. These are chickens. Bark, and this is the eggshells. I'm also telling them about like how we're like we're composting and everything, and how we want to redevelop over here and change everything. Like I don't know. She's just I don't know what she's gonna use this all for, but